Hey guys, let's jump right into it. The first question comes from GU10. He asked about texting, but I'm going to skip that part and answer his question about height. He asks, I think I lost my confidence because of my height, which is 5'5". Do you have any similar stories of guys my height being successful with girls? I'll answer your height question, but the texting topic I want to dedicate an entire episode to, so we'll get to that later. But as far as your height goes, it doesn't matter. It goes back to the looks thing. If you truly believe that your height matters, it's going to matter. And I think I'm a prime example of this. You guys always ask, how tall are you guys? And I'm going to answer that question now. I am barely 5'7". Jason's about 5'8", and Kong, I believe, is just about 6 feet tall. So he's the tallest. And in terms of our success with girls, our height plays no role in that. Like I said, I'm barely 5'7", and one of the girls I'm going out with currently is about 5'9", and when she puts on heels, she towers over me. And this is not an issue for me at all. But if I was really insecure about the fact that she's towering over me when we go out, then she would be insecure about it. But because I'm truly comfortable with it, so is she. If you come across as insecure about your height, then other people will too. Mr. Alex asks, I feel super self-conscious hitting my friends at parties or elsewhere. I feel like I may make my friends look bad. Since you're talking about leveraging a taken girl for her single friends, can you talk about how to do that without risking the relationship/reputation with the connecting person? I understand with these chicks you meet on the street, you don't care, but if it's a close friend's girlfriend, you wouldn't want to invite any haterade, etc. Here's the thing, Alex. You are going to fuck up in this life. A lot. It's a learning experience, and you're simply going to need to gain the social intelligence and experience of fucking up over and over and over again before you figure out what actually works. And there's a chance you'll fuck up a relationship with a friend through trying to grow yourself in this whole field. But that's just part of life. You're gonna fuck up, you're gonna make mistakes, and if you're constantly afraid of that, then it's gonna take you so much longer to actually improve in this. But the way I would do it for my own personality is I would be completely blunt and honest about it. And I figured out this works for me through lots of trial and error. Let me explain. I'll say something to my friend like, hey, do you have any single friends? Because I'm, kind of horny right now and I'm really lonely, dude. I just need someone to cuddle with. And usually they would laugh at that and be like, yeah, sure, blah, blah, blah. You can meet Jessica. And the reason it wouldn't be weird is because that's just my personality. I'm just an extremely honest, blunt person. I'm honest to a fault, to a point where it's no longer weird. I can't say anything weird because people will just be like, oh, that's Jesse being overly honest yet again. And we've said this before, being over the top honest is just hilarious. If I were on a date and I had really bad diarrhea, which has happened before, and I excused myself to use the restroom and I didn't come back for like 10 minutes, I wouldn't just try to play it off. I would come back and say, I just took the soupiest diarrhea shit in the world. I was about to take a picture for you, but then I decided not to because we're about to eat. But, And that wouldn't be weird because that's just my personality. Sure, if I just said that without having any indication that that was my personality beforehand, it would be weird. But because that's who I am, it just ends up being funny. But basically, just don't be afraid to fuck things up in order to learn. It's just gonna happen. That's how you grow as a person. Angie9832 asks, you guys always tell us to stop a girl and tell us that walking with her is bad and doesn't create connection. Jesse doesn't stop the girls in this video and continues walking with them. Why is that? I do stop them initially. And the reason we tell you guys to stop girls is because if you don't and you continue walking with them as you approach them, it just seems like you're soliciting them for something. And when you stop them, that whole solicitation feel kind of goes away. So a general rule of thumb should be stop them initially. If you can stop them initially, it's completely fine to walk with them whenever you feel comfortable. You're not going to stop her and then not move anywhere for the rest of your life. Normal people do walk, they do talk, and they have conversations that way. You don't have to keep them stopped for the entire length of the conversation. So if you stop them initially, feel free to walk with the girl whenever you feel like it. If you're comfortable with it, then do it. As long as you stopped her initially, that's completely fine. Code asks, when I'm nervous while talking to a random girl, my face becomes immediately red. How can I cover that red face? Or what should I say when they notice I'm a little bit nervous? What joke should I make? I used to have a very, very similar problem. and I'm dark-skinned, and my face would still turn maroonish red. On top of that, my mouth would get dry, my hands would shake, and I would start stuttering. And all of these symptoms were connected. They would happen at the same time, which told me that this was the result of me just being really nervous. Do you turn red when you talk to your friends? I'm guessing you don't, because you're not nervous around them. The whole face turning red thing will only go away once you're comfortable with cold approaching. For me, this took months. It took about 6 months of me constantly practicing before my shaking went away, before my face stopped turning maroonish red, and before I stopped stuttering. The time period is different for everyone, but just keep practicing it until you are ridiculously comfortable with approaching girls. And if you really feel the need to make a joke about it, just say something like, "Wow, you are making me really nervous right now." Remember, honesty works. J-Man asks, "Hey guys, recently I've been doing a lot of night game. I've got a decent amount of numbers, but getting almost all flakes. With almost every girl I get physical and feel like I want to make some kind of connection. So why the flakes? Are they just nervous and don't want to take a chance with a random guy from a bar/club or the street? Thanks." So I preached this last time, I'm going to say it again. Record yourself. If any of you are getting constant flakes, the first course of action should be to record yourself. Listen to it, analyze it, figure out if you're doing something weird. So if you recorded yourself, listened to it, analyzed it, and you think everything's perfect, then we can take a look at what else is going on. And to learn how to record yourself, take a look at the uncut video titled "How to Get Good Fast." The next question comes from Dubman12. "I am direct approaching a lot nowadays. However, one major problem I have is not being able to get it out of my head that what I'm doing is so out of the norm and almost weird that I seem to subconsciously hold myself back. And my friends do what I do, and I've never seen any other guy in public, blah, 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 blah. Do you have any suggestions or tips that I can give myself to help me cope with this transition I'm going through?" All right, here's some motivation, Dubman. Having sex with hot girls is fun. Once you start really pushing yourself and seeing the fruits of your labor, seeing the results of pushing yourself hard, the whole notion of this being weird will fly out of the fucking window. Push yourself harder every single time you go out. Do things you didn't do last time. Make yourself uncomfortable. And doing this will speed up your progress. And when you speed up your progress, you start to see results. And like I said earlier, once you start to see results, you stop giving a fuck about being weird because you're seeing these awesome results. So don't take things slow, push yourself, and you'll be fine. So don't play it safe, don't take it slow. And if you do that, this is weird thing will no longer be a thought in your mind. All right, and the last question is from Shako is the Greatest. He asks, "What do we do when the boyfriend calls or messages you angrily and goes as far as threatening you for flirting with his girl? In other words, how should we handle the boyfriend if he finds out about us? This is important because it happened to me and I didn't know what the fuck to do." So I have had this happen to me a lot. And this is the reason that I said in the last video, I don't like hitting on girls that are taken. There are plenty of girls out there. I don't need to make my life more complicated by hooking up with a girl that has a boyfriend or a husband. And the reason I came to this conclusion is because my past experiences have been pretty bad. I've had my life threatened, I've had angry messages left on my phone, and at one point I even started to lose hope for women in general because I was hooking up with girls that had boyfriends more easily than I was hooking up with girls that didn't have boyfriends. And this was a huge mindfuck to me. Shouldn't it be the other way around? Are girls just cheaters inherently? Eventually, I got out of that whole headspace because I realized it wasn't actually the girl's fault usually. Most of the time, it was just their boyfriends being giant pussies. Most guys are giant pussies. They are very emotional. They don't know how to be open with their girlfriends. They don't know how to be open with their girlfriends when it comes to sex. And all these things make girls very, very antsy and unhappy. And when a guy comes along who understands them better than their boyfriend, they're gonna cheat. And then I realized that guys who were confident and cool rarely had the problem of their girlfriends cheating on them, unless they picked someone who was very obviously unstable. But now I'm rambling a little bit. Basically, if you really feel the need to hit on a girl that has a boyfriend or a husband, then go ahead, but just know that there are some potential negative consequences. If you're not prepared to live with them, then don't do it. There are plenty of single girls out there. And I said earlier that I had some pretty bad experiences with girls that were not available. If you look at the description of this Q&A video, you'll see a link to a very, very old field report that I wrote when I was, I think, a freshman in college. I just started getting the hang of this stuff, and I started to practice it on a regular basis, and I was seeing success, and I didn't really know how to handle that success properly, and I was being a giant fucking idiot. But hopefully you guys will read that and be discouraged when it comes to hitting on girls with boyfriends, or in this case, a husband. So take a look at it. It's down below in the description, and you can laugh at my fucking idiocy, and maybe it'll deter some of you from hitting on girls that are taken.